I'm Jerry McIntosh, and this is Our Voices, the People's Media. Tonight, we're going to talk about Donald Trump and his privileges and whether he will have the money to post bond for tomorrow. We're going to address that and other hot topics tonight. But first, we'll go to our host. Mr. Bill Snow was the author of the great book, From the Project to the Boardroom. Mr. Derek Scott, who is the chair of the Democrat Party in Hammond County. We have also Christine Forrest, who is running for a delegate in Santa Rosa County, who is from Santa Rosa County, and also the Democrat person there in Santa Rosa County is also Vernon Watson, who is off tonight. He's out of town, as well as myself. But we'll get right into it. Derek, you there? Or if not, we'll just go. Bill, you on mute, Bill.
He's on another Zoom. He says he'll join us as soon as he can.
Okay. All right, we'll get right into it then. We're gonna talk about address rather. Trump, is this his greatest fear that he is facing right now? So what do you think, Bill?
Man, I'm so glad you asked me, bro, Jerry. I think that he will come up with the monies. You know, his Truth Social, he just backdoored a deal with Truth Social to get publicly traded, which gives him a share of some $3 billion. He's majority owner, but the way that you generally make a company public, he went with a smaller, lesser known company. So that's going to enable him to come about some $3 billion. But now there are stipulations. The board of that company will not allow him to tap into those funds for 6 months. But even if that Truth Social thing does not work for him, I do believe he will come up with the monies. Look, this guy here, like him or not, cannot be cornered. I promise you, he cannot. Slick Willie term has nothing on this guy. But you know, look, man, I think he's a terrible person. But when it comes to his maneuvering and procrastinating and making a mockery of our system, a system that we have allowed him to run amok in, is a testament to what we have thought all of these years of the Constitution and everything else that this country that we thought stood for. We realize that there are loopholes, fine lines, and if you're rich enough, you can outgame the system, and that's what he's done. And this guy has been cornered so many times in the past 8 years, man. He's been cornered so many times, and has always walked away without the smell of smoke. I believe he'll do it again.
So let me ask you this though. I know that he's getting seem to be getting away with all this stuff. But do you think it's because of the courts and that are so corrupt now? You know, people are delaying these cases in his favor.
It does. Well, we know that the courts are corrupt. No doubt about that. But now, when it comes to the Supreme Court moving quickly, they have not. Even with his appeal now for a reduced a reduction to what he has been told that he has to pay, that $455 million, they haven't even moved really quickly on that appeal. So that's just our justice system. It spins slowly, especially when you're talking about 9 rich people that are on a team appointed for life, and you're above the law. You do what you want when you want in your good time. So he asked for a quick hearing on his $455 million reduction, and he's not getting that. So look, it's our system, guys. We've lived in this system forever. So now that he's exploited it, I mean, it is what it is, bro, Jerry. It's the system.
Yeah, I'm just.
So can I just interject? So Donald Trump owes an additional $87,502 in post-judgment interest every day until he pays the $354 million fine ordered by Judge Arthur Angarian in his civil fraud case, according to ABC News calculation based on the Judge Lethe ruling case. Trump was fined the $354 million plus approximately $100 million in prejudgment interest in the civil fraud case brought forth by New York Attorney General Letitia James after found out that Trump and his adult sons inflated Trump's net worth in order to get more favorable loan terms. Trump denied all wrongdoing and said he would appeal. So Trump now owes more than $600,000 in interest every week. And that not only adds to legal mounting bills, but will likely guide the former president's approach to his appeal, according to University of Michigan business law professor Will Thomas. So he's playing a waiting game, and it's costing him. So, and they've pointed out, it's been pointed out, you know, he's had no contrition for being found guilty for this. He's not sorry he did it. He's proud of himself for it. Do I think he'll actually make the amount? Yes. My concern is, where's that money going to come from? My concern is that it's going to come from somebody overseas. My concern is he was the former president. There's a whole lot that he knows, and there's a whole lot of interference that he can cause internationally. So that is my concern. But will he be able to make it? I think so. It's just, who is he going to owe, and what's it going to actually cost the people of the United States?
I'm glad you alluded to that, Christine, because there has been some speculation with foreign governments when him needing this amount of money that makes him susceptible. And, you know, desperate means will require desperate actions. And we know that this guy's moral ground just isn't that high from the beginning. So we've got cause for concern. But like I've said time and time again, all we have to do at this point on is just keep sticking that microphone in his face. He is his worst enemy. That Truth Social deal, I think, once he gets that deal rolling, he'll be able to backdoor and move and manipulate some money. He's going to make this money deadline for sure. He's out box to box in every other situation. I just don't see it happening this time.
I'm glad you said that. And when you are saying foreign governments, but not even recognized foreign governments, right? So with international royals, or with it doesn't actually have to be the foreign government, you know, that we recognize, different groups. You know, where is that gonna come from? How's it gonna funnel through there? And that's a paper trail that's going to be really, really hard to follow. But I know some folks who are real good up in New York will be able to find that paper trail too. So,
well, at this point, with the way Fulton County is shaping up, it doesn't really matter. Finding his paper trail, it doesn't mean anything. He's a procrastinator. He's a delayer. He is the master of manipulation, and he is Teflon Don. It just is what it is. I mean, we go all the way back to Mueller, thinking, okay, they're finally going to get him. Nah. The January 16th hearing, just wasting taxpayers' dollars, making people testify, subpoenaing people. sending folk that won't testify to jail, spanking them on the wrist for 4 months, sending them to a country club. It's all a joke. Our justice system is a joke. Our two-party government system is a joke. And Donald Trump has just exposed it all. That's all.
I don't believe it's a joke. You know, I definitely want to defend democracy, but there's definitely issues, without a doubt.
The Republicans have made our two-party system a laughing stock, my sister. They're resigning. 100%. They're resigning in unprecedented numbers. Those guys are saying, I refuse to continue to be a party to this foolishness. These guys are upset because they have kept the government open. Not because it's closed, but because it's still open.
And for folks who don't know, this keeping the government open, you know, we are sitting in Northwest Florida, and we have one of the largest active duty sections in the entire nation, one of the largest. Okay, so keeping the government open helps keep the military paid. Do you know what I mean? It helps, you know, it helps our contractors continue to get paid. And for the party that keeps saying that they love the military, they were sure enough quick to want to shut it down. And so to a whole bunch of folks out there, I just want you to not just listen to what they say, but watch what they do.
The amazing part, Sister Christina, is those very folk that this will affect negatively supports those guys.
I would say not all of them.
Well, look, man, in this redneck Riviera is more that do than don't. It's more that does than don't. Believe me now.
I totally understand.
Election day shows us that year after year after year.
Year after year. But it also shows us not just the active duty, but the amount of veterans that come to this area from other places, either for tax purposes and for the political climate that is here. I mean, we are literally living in a Republican think tank. If you want to know what the Republican plan is, take a look at Northwest Florida. It's honestly, that's what we're living in, where our lack of access to healthcare, our lack of being able to have public transportation uniformly across the panhandle, our lack of environmental controls, our gun loving, oh my gosh. And you know, I'm all for the right to bear arms, but to the point that, let's say in Gulf Breeze High School, there was a student that brought a gun to school. Student's parent was arrested for not keeping that locked up. We're just arrested, so I don't know all the details. But there was more about the right to bear arms than the fact that a child brought a gun to a high school.
Yeah.
And that's what's concerning.
Well, it should be concerning because I think we're finally about to get to the bottom of this. And with this accountability of these parents, we were about to see a reduction because we had 2 people that were sentenced for the crimes of their son that went and shot up that school in the Midwest. So we're finally about to get some accountability with these parents and these guns and these kids shooting up these schools. So I think it's a turn in the right direction, actually.
You know, just want to say before we go any further, Jill and Derek is going to be on a little later. They are on it's got a lot of stuff going on. They got a lot of stuff going on with the Democrat Party and other stuff that they are doing. So we want to acknowledge that they will be on a little later, probably later. Just, you know, when you think about it, here's a man that's been impeached twice. Been charged with 91 felonies, allegedly.
88 now.
Yeah. 6 bankruptcy, major bankruptcy, bankrupt the USFL casinos and his so-called charitable organization, his college, his Trump college, his Trump everything is bankrupt. But he's still he was the head of the birther movement that went after President Obama. Just a whole plethora of racist issues that he brought up during that period, and he promoted it. Also called for the death of 5 innocent young Black men in New York and never apologized. As a matter of fact, he doubled down after they was found innocent of the crime that another guy said he committed. So, and Trump said he still believed that they were guilty and they should never be out of prison. So it shows you just how narcissistic this so-called human being is supposed to be. And I doubt if he has any human DNA in him, period, because you can, he's a perpetual liar. He lies about everything, and now as a presidential candidate, he's out making all kinds of statements like bloodbath, dictatorship, all kinds of statements that no other person would even get close to in any other party that they would have been kicked out.
Anti-Semitism.
In time past, the Republican Party would have kicked him out in time past, but lately they just letting him ride. So
I do have a breakdown for that $370 million fine. So Trump got lower interest rates based on his fraudulent financials, costing his lenders millions in interest. That fine was $168,040,168. Then the other reason was for his DC hotel profits. Trump used fraudulent statements to bid and get financing for his Washington, DC hotel, which he sold to Hilton in 2022. So that's near where I used to live. I don't know if y'all know, but Trump had, in addition to a couple other buildings in the area, he had purchased the old post office building, which I used to love to go to till he bought it. But so he used fraudulent statements to bid and get financing for the DC hotels, which again, he sold to Hilton. That requested fine was $139,408,146. And then third reason was the reason for the Ferry Point profits. Trump again used fraudulent statements to get the license to operate the golf course in Ferry Point, New York, which he sold to Bailey's in 2023. And that requested fine was $60 million. So the total came to $367,488,314 plus 9% annual interest. And that's a low interest rate considering somebody who never paid taxes.
Right. And also when you add up the money that he owed that lady for rape, because that's what they found him guilty on, rape charges. And it was over 26 people that accused him of either assaulting them or raping them. And then now, it's another lawsuit coming up about the Stormy Daniels deal. And then in DC, the state's attorney there wants to hook him up, along with the public investigator that's, what's his name, Jack, is hooking him up with. So he's going to be spending around and around, going from court to court the rest of the year. And I hope that they don't, the Supreme Court don't stall anymore. They shouldn't, because go ahead, Bill.
Well, Stormy Daniels is criminal. Stormy Daniels' trial is criminal, and the date in April has been set.
Mm-hmm. Our number here is 850-206-3776. You want to talk to us or give your opinion about what is going on here in this America, and especially with the running of Trump for president of these United States. We are addressing that. You know, it said privilege, people who have privilege and that never been held accountable before, accountability feel like persecution. And to them, you know, they are running around the country talking about they are being persecuted. Well, it's Black people in prison right now, been getting out for the last 20 years that had never committed any crime, but forced into prison, forced to work free in this country as slave laborers. And some of them, most of it is slave labor, but they're given 10 or 15 cents an hour, or maybe 30 cents an hour to work in the prison system. And they are being forced into this system for a crime that they didn't commit. But here's the biggest criminal in the world that's running for president of these United States. And it seems that people are going to vote for him because they want a dictatorship, because white supremacy is more powerful than democracy in the country.
Oh, yes, absolutely, yes. What you just said reminded me of Khalif Browder. He was held, never tried for stealing the backpack. Shortly after his release, he's no longer alive.
Right.
But held for 3 years in prison, no trial, none.
Yeah, and no telling what all happened to him. We know he was beaten in there by guards and stuff, but there's no telling what else happened to him in there, especially on Rikers Island there in New York. They say it's one of the worst prisons in the world, especially for somebody that young to be in that system. And
16 years old when he was locked up.
Right, and he committed suicide after he got out because he couldn't take it anymore. That was cruel. It was really cruel to have him in that prison. Never, like he said, never, like Christine said, never saw trial, never had a trial date, but spent 3 years in a prison, not in jail, but in a prison.
Adult prison.
Right, adult.
At 16 years old.
16 years
on
old.
Suspicion of stealing a backpack.
That they never proved that he had. And everybody want to know what happened to the backpack that he was supposed to have stolen. So that shows you how you can end up in the system without doing anything. And now, with all these private prisons, and they have a guarantee, they got the state to guarantee them 80% capacity, meaning that they're gonna have to be, it's gonna have to be so corrupt in order to maintain a 80% capacity in private prison. That means you got to have corrupt judges, corrupt police officers, corrupt sheriff, corrupt district attorneys, and everybody else that's involved in this to keep that capacity at 80%. When there are other public prisons out there that has many people in it, what are they gonna do? Transfer them from the public prison into the private prison, or just convict more people for either a misdemeanor or for nothing at all, just for being walking the street? And now with these police states that's being built, like in Atlanta and New York and all around the country, what is that saying? What, you know, the militarism of the militarize of the police department is now, what is all this for? We have to ask that question. What is all these camps for around the country, and who are they intending to control? And then on top of that, in New York, they got it so the mayor of New York, stop and frisk, he reinstated stop and frisk in the state of New York, where Black people was abused for years there. A Black man reinstated this, and the system, I think they got a $30 to $40 billion budget for the police department there in New York, but nothing for the people that live in abject poverty, nothing for the homeless, nothing for the women and children that are in need. But we're gonna just make sure that everybody that we can, we're gonna put them in jail for something, whether they did anything or not. And now with the reinstating them of stop and frisk, you know what's gonna happen. We all know. So what's your thought, Bill?
I agree wholeheartedly with everything you said, but to me, corruption amongst law enforcement is nothing new, man. In Mississippi on this last week, 6 white officers were just sentenced to upwards of 18, 20 years for breaking into a black man, or two black men's place of residence and abusing them, just plumb abusing them for hours.
Right.
And the squad that they were associated with is called the Goon Squad. They all pled guilty, man. Corruption amongst law enforcement is nothing new. Denzel Washington played the role of the Hurricane. The boxer out of Philadelphia that night when they pulled his car over. He was pretty well to do. And they told him when they pulled him over, a black guy, you know, that fit his description was just robbed the liquor store down the street. And Denzel's most famous words, or the Hurricane's most famous words were, "So any old N word will do, huh?" And they arrested him, and he had to fight for freedom. But corruption amongst law enforcement, to me, Brother Jerry, I've stated it time and time again, is nothing new. The judge in, coincidentally, Philadelphia, just some 7 or 8 years ago, was sent to prison for the very thing of sentencing young black folk at crazy numbers to the justice system because he had made a pact with the owners that he would keep the people flow coming in through there. So it's nothing new. I promise you, this is America. This is who we are. It's the system. And if you are not careful, you will be a victim. Like you said already, there are plenty that are getting out after 20, 30, 40 years, and they give them those measly $1, $2, $3 million for 40 years of their lives, man.
Which is almost over with.
Say it again.
Which their life is almost over.
It's almost over with, man. 3, 4, and 5 million, man. You can't put no price on somebody losing 40 years of their lives. But that's the system that we were born suspects. We will die born suspects. It is the way it is. We learned to play inside of the confines of this so-called judicial system. Folk that often rant that America is the greatest nation on earth. I've often said has never lived anywhere else. I probably hadn't even visited anywhere else. But America has some serious issues when it comes to people of color. You've got Europeans that can come here. They'll go and ship them in by the C-120 loads. But your governor will stand there and tell Haitians, "Look, you come, we putting you on a plane, sending you to Martha's Vineyard or right back." But America, in a lot of ways, Brother Jerry, is the great Satan, man.
Yeah, and matter of fact, our community is so over-policed that it's really a shame, but block you from getting jobs by giving you a record, a felony or something of that nature, and they know that if you go to court, you're not going to have a lawyer. So when you get to the court, you're going to plead no contest. After that, you got a record now, and all they need is one more case against you. Next thing you know, you're in prison for something.
Back when I was coming up, we called it the bitch. Once you get that third strike and you're considered habitual, once you get the bitch put on you, brother, it's a hard knock life, man.
Yeah, it is. Christina.
I'm a little bit different. So just in thought. One is like what Bill Snow said, haven't lived anywhere else. Every country is different, but in a lot of countries, the police don't do what our country does. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not, I mean, there's abuses, and anytime you have power, there's abuse, point blank. I don't care who it is. I don't care what it is. Anytime there are positions of power, there are cases of abuse. But I know if I am, if I'm robbed, I want to be able to call the police, if that makes sense. If there's a, I have kids. If one of my kids is hurt, I want to be able to call the police. I hate that in this country, I am so fearful for their life.
Right.
Should I call the police for help for them? If that makes sense.
Right.
I have a mother who lives in another state. She, I would love if she would come to stay with me. I love that. My mother is the sweetest, sweetest, sweetest person in the world. Absolutely love her to a death. Suffers from some severe mental health issues. If she goes off of her meds, it can be a really, really serious issue where she may have to be hospitalized or something may have to happen very quickly. Otherwise, she could be a danger to herself. And, if something is that dangerous, I want to be able to call somebody. I shouldn't be afraid, like, oh my God, my mom needs help. Who am I going to call? Because God forbid they take her life, But I also believe anybody who walks into a domestic violence situation or pulls a car over, that could also be their last moment. And I do understand that. I don't think police, particularly, it's different all over the country, but the regulations are not there. The accountability is not there. Not speaking up when there are bad police officers, that makes everybody bad because then everybody is complicit. I just think we can be different. But to all those who put themselves in harm's way and are trying to do the right thing and are in it for the right reasons, my hat goes off to them and my heart as well. My uncle is a police officer out in he's retired now, but was out in Fairfax County, Virginia. And I just know how my aunt was. Every time there was a shooting somewhere, that instant drop, wondering who's going to show up at your door. Or was whatever conversation you had that morning, that could potentially be your last. I just think it could be a whole heck of a lot better. I'm totally against the cop cities. I'm totally against the militarization of the police. We are not in civil war, and police officers should not. I'm not articulating myself well, so I do apologize, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you're doing great, and you're absolutely right. I mean, if law enforcement did what they asked people to do, they asked people to snitch on each other, tell on each other, whatever language you want to use. But when it comes to them, it's the blue wall of silence. When it comes to them, no, we can't talk about that because, it's going to cause all of us to have problems. Well, it's causing everybody else to have problems because you're doing it. And then people see what you do. And they're saying, if they can do it, I can too. I don't have to talk to about what's going on, even though it's affecting our communities at an enormous and a harmful rate. But at the same time, you can understand why they are doing what they are doing because they see what you do as far as saying that you are a person that care about the law. And then you complain about the law, but you volunteer to take that job. If you don't like the job, leave the job, let somebody else that want to do it that will do it with the dignity and respect that it requires and the professionalism, then, you know, it's going to be much better for everybody in the country. And a person won't be so, I mean, why is it that when Black people are pulled over, they're on edge, they're about to have a heart attack because they don't know from 1 minute to the next whether they're going to live after they are pulled over just for maybe a car tag or a broken light or just running a stop sign or something or speeding. That causes your death. It is caused death in this country. Go ahead.
I have more, my, you know, my spouse is active duty military. We met when we were both in, I'm no longer military. But I'll tell you what, I actually have more fear of him driving here at home in his own country than I do when he is deployed in a wartime situation. I have more fear of him coming home every day if, God forbid, he is pulled over than the fear I do when he is deployed. And that is shameful. That's a shameful thing to have to say.
It is, but it's a fact. Unfortunately, it's a fact. And we've seen soldiers pulled with their uniform on, pulled over and dogged out. And then we've seen from past history, people's eyes was gouged out because they had on a uniform. People was lynched because they had on a uniform after they went and fought for your rights, your protection, and you killed them when they come home. You lynched them when they come home. You put them in a hot boxcar when they come home, while the enemy rides in air condition and sitting up having a conversation. But the Black soldiers who came back was dogged out, humiliated after they had went and fought for this country. And it's still that way. And it's a lot's changed, but it's too much haven't changed. And I don't think it's going to be anytime soon until Black people rise up again in the country like they did in the 60s. But because we are falling further and further behind, as far as I'm concerned, that's my opinion. That, you know, because, you know, when we look at what Kay Ivory did in Alabama and the Satan did here and what in the state of Florida, you know, when you see all these things happening, you know then that we are in trouble in the country. And, you know, people don't seem to be paying attention to it. We have to pay attention to what's going on because they're trying to overturn everything that we gained during the 60s because too many Black people are looking for a Messiah when we ought to be looking to ourselves for and start participating in organizations and groups. And if that organization ain't running the way you want to, then you run it. You know, you come in and help set the agenda, help set the direction if you think the direction should go another way. But, you know, come in and do something. You know, let's all do something for the health and well-being of our children and grandchildren and their future, so they won't end up in the same predicament that we are in right now.
So I do wish to point out Vice President Harris made a statement back in December that she and President Joe Biden established the first ever federal database to track official records of law enforcement officer misconduct. The National Law Enforcement Accountability Database will ensure that federal agencies have ready access to records of serious misconduct when hiring federal law enforcement officers. So I think that's a huge problem. So you finally go and you get a corrupt police officer out of one area, and they can just go back to another area and become an officer there. So I'm really, really grateful for the work of President Joe Biden and Vice President Harris and the steps. That's the first ever. You know, there was no way to track that before.
Right.
And again, who's gonna, that code of silence. Nobody speaks up, nobody says anything. Yeah, he doesn't work here anymore. It's not what you said, it's what you didn't say kind of thing. When you call and check references. So, yeah, that's, I am glad and I'm sad too, that that's the first step, that just happened December of 2023, that there was nothing before that.
Right. And the thing about it, the accountability that need to be in place, it should have been done by the Congress and the Senate so that it can be codified into law. Executive orders can easily be overturned if the next person comes. And if Donald Trump wins, everything gonna be overturned that we ever fought for. And the people that died for all these things will be overturned. We have to come to grips with that. He's already said that he gonna free those people that was part of the insurrection.
The hostages.
Yeah, he called them hostages, right. So he gonna free them. Now, these are people who were convicted by the courts. Many of them confessed to the crime that they committed. But he thinks that he has the right to overturn that. And I wish that a lot of them had been convicted in the states. That way he can pardon every one of them. I think some of them was convicted in different states, but under the federal law. So I don't know how that's going to work out as far as, because he can't pardon anybody in the states, but his minions can, like Kay Ivory, DeSantis,
right,
and all the rest of them that are out there doing his lifting right now. So I'm concerned about that. Truly concerned about what's taking place. Going to Lauren Barback, whatever her name is. Her and Marjorie Taylor Greene called for, said she's gonna call for Mike Johnson to step down. She want to remove him. All these other people are stepping down. They're down to one more person that's in the Republican Party in the House. They only have one vote in the House more than the Democrats now, because the other two, they just like, nah, I ain't staying another day. I'm out.
I'm out now. I ain't waiting. I'm out now.
I'm trying to save the country, and we got to deal with these clowns.
Yeah, three-ring circus.
Yeah, I'm waiting on the next hammer to fall, so that we can see Hakeem Jeffries as Speaker of the House. Because if she called for him and he stepped down, it might be that we have somebody, that Hakeem Jeffries becomes Speaker of the House. Somebody else, maybe somebody else, a couple more people will resign, and I hope they do, because you got a clown like Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh yes, please keep y'all. Yes, it was interesting. I was watching some news program, and they showed a clip of, y'all remember Newt Gingrich, the Republican guy. He was talking about how all this drama in the House was basically all caused by Matt Gaetz, because Matt Gaetz was the one who put in that one person can request for the speaker to come out, and he said it's a clown show, but it's what they did to themselves. Right. It's what they did. I just want to point out that if Democrats held both sides of Congress, both the House and the Senate, and had the White House, I promise you, this is not what we would be dealing with. And if we had that with a super majority, we could see so many amazing changes, many amazing changes. But it can't be a thin razor majority. We really need that threshold majority to really, see what can happen. And even though we often talk about, we live in Northwest Florida, but those who want to go on and help in other areas, if there's like a purple area you can always plug in and help do postcards or help phone bank for other people across the nation. So, don't hesitate to do that. If you want more information on that, I'm happy to send that to you individually. If you're watching through our Facebook, if you leave a message in the chat, I can send you information for whatever area you're interested in, and get you connected. And if you're interested in helping here, we have a ton of work we can do here. This isn't a lost cause. Florida is not a red state. We're an unorganized state that has been truly gerrymandered. So there's a lot of work we can still do here. And the more we can shift blue, even though we may not see the effects of it here, we can see the effects statewide. So there's a lot to be done, and there's a lot to be hopeful for.
Yeah, it's a good time right now to be a Dem. I promise you, man. We've got momentum. If we just stay the course, man, we got momentum. I'm telling you, man. To watch the Hill right now, it is true. It's sad, truly sad, but it's laughable that they are in control. Look, guys, we are passing bipartisan bills, and they control. When genuine people of goodwill, such as Mike Johnson, sees the greater good of the country and puts country ahead of party and makes a deal like we've just seen to keep the government open, and then you got MGT that is speaking as crazy as Matt Gaetz, and he doesn't even see eye to eye on this. Y'all, that's a three-ring circus over there on the Republican side. And all we've got to do is stay the course, keep taunting our accomplishments. People see what's happening, man. I'm telling you. That 78 to 80 million will not be, man. We will do great things, but man, it sure will be nice to see it a lot sooner than November. And if they keep on with the ruckedness that's going on, it may very well be.
And I sure hope so. I'm
yes.
one who was totally behind Hakeem Jeffries becoming Speaker of the House, and Chuck Schumer staying the majority leader in the Senate. So it's so much that could be done, as Christina said. If we would have a whole lot, all of the things we would have the John Lewis Voting Rights Act passed. If we had the House and the Senate continuously, we would have the George Floyd Policing and Justice Act. If we had the Democrat House and Senate, we would have Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act reinstated, Section 4 and 5, which is the pre-clearance, which means that they cannot change voting places without the pre-clearance of the Justice Department. They wouldn't be able to gerrymander like they are now. Then gerrymandered most people out of their districts and which made them a supermajority, because we didn't vote in 2010 like we should have. And so we lost over some like 2,000 seats almost. That's around the country in the state houses and in the Congress and in the Senate. So it's incumbent upon us. We have to save the democracy to save ourselves. If you don't believe that what I'm saying is true, look around the world at different places where these dictators and the wannabe dictators and what they are doing to people in their lives, disrupting, starvation, killing. Greed is the plus word, I would say, in these people's lives. And so, and they don't care who they kill, who they starve to death, who they put in poverty. All of these things are happening under dictatorship. And if you don't believe it, look at what happened when Putin get in opposition. They either dead or they in prison. And the rest of those dictators do the same thing. You're not going to find nobody run against Kim. You're not going to find anybody run against, what's his name, in China. You're not going to. Yeah, Xi Jinping. You ain't going to find nobody running against him. You know, you're not going to find anybody running against even in Hungary, where the guy that Trump had at his Mar-a-Lago just a week before last. He's not going to allow anybody. They put the media out of business. The media become their playground. The media become their mouthpiece. And people like us will not be on the air if Trump wins. And they're already they are after people. And there's a true social, so-called, that Trump got, a true whatever it is, which should have been lie social, if anything. But he had the nerve to call it truth.
Truth.
Yeah. That's amazing.
It's delusional, man.
Yeah.
But Jerry, we wanna call attention to the fact that the Republicans, along with the Dems, made a deal for the border.
Yeah.
And they went back on it because that guy told them to. Now, here's the thing. If we stay on script, if the Dems, and Biden he's been talking about it, the Republicans derailed that deal, man.
Yeah.
And you got some people in this country that are dead set against that border deal, and they know, bro, that the Republicans derailed that deal. They've lost some votes on that. And Biden is pushing it. And then when you stick a microphone in this guy's face and he says that these Latinos are animals. Yeah. Biden is running with that. He visited a large Latino place just this past week, and a big Latino organization endorsed Biden. I'm telling you, man, all we got to do, keep sticking the microphone in that idiot's face, man, and he'll do it himself.
Yeah, and on top of that, he said the immigrants coming here is poisoning the blood of America. Now, that's something to say. That your families, your generation before that came here and committed genocide on the native people. People that look like us, people that look like other native people, you know, people that like us that was here before this so-called discovering of America, which, you know, how you gonna discover something that was already here? You know, that's amazing. But, you know, before that, Black people were already here. We was already traveling back and forth around the world. You know, the history tells us that there were no limit to where we could go and what we could do. But now we just don't know who we are and whom we are, I would say, because we don't understand that we was already here. You know, Martin Luther King talked about it in one of his speeches. He talked about it. He said before Jefferson etched his autograph, I would say, on the Constitution and Declaration of Independence, we were here. You know, we was here before the 13 colonies. We was here before their ships land in Virginia and other places around the world. We were already here. So we just don't know that we were here. We just don't know that we are part of the indigenous of America. And we are indigenous everywhere we ever been in the world.
Malcolm X said, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us.
Yeah. Christina.
And where's the outrage, you know, from within their own party? Where's that outrage?
Some of them are defecting, Christina. I promise you, some of them are defecting. They see what's happening. I'm telling you, man. He's not as popular. And the polls, now that they show that Biden is, you don't hear quite as much about those doggone polls anymore.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the money to buy the polls anymore. He's a little broke right now.
After the State of the Union, he shut a lot of stuff down because I was hoping that he came with it. Because what I saw with Merrick Garland, I'm like, we can't do this. You know, you can't. But I'm glad he came with it with the State of the Union, man.
Jerry, now you got to take into account of the fact that when Mary Garland is sitting in there with all them people of colors around them, man, it does something to them boys. Long day on the hill and around their lily white friends and pals. That's one thing, but to be sitting in a church full of Zulu warriors, bro, that'll make you change the tone. I'm telling you.
Yeah, but you riding all this energy in that church. That was what was so amazing to me. You got all this energy just pumping out there. People singing. They are ready for they setting the atmosphere for you.
But
and you get up there. Hey,
it's a real fear, Jerry. It's inherited, man. We had a guy in our area. I can't remember if it was Fort Walton or Mobile, but this guy shot at a guy that he had handcuffed in the back of his squad car because of an acorn that fell on the roof of his car. It's an inherited fear, man. Those guys, I'm telling you, man, in front in their comfort zone, they big and bad, man. But when push comes to shove, man, there is a fear of us. It just is, man.
But I would think. I mean, if I'm just from my vantage point, I'm thinking, well, this dude getting ready to, he getting ready to go off today, because when he got up, everybody was clapping him on, and giving him an ovation. And all of a sudden he get up there and you can barely hear.
Yeah.
It's like, no, bro, this is not you supposed to be doing scorched earth policy.
Martin Luther King life.
Yeah, you're not. This is not no normal year. This is not no normal time.
He ain't never been to no black church.
Yeah, this is not a time when you knew if a Republican won, it was still going to be a democracy. You were going to have a shot at something. This election is about the democracy. It's about saving the democracy.
Right.
We got the lowest unemployment we've had in over since 1960. We got the best GDP that we done had since the 1960s. Inflation is down 3.1%. So we under Joe Biden, I think that he need, along with Kamala, now's the time to unleash, or maybe he's gonna do it later. Bill Clinton, Barack Obama.
Yeah, they're on the way.
Hillary Clinton, to have them out there, you got the finances. Use those finances to people who can articulate the issues at the same time in different places. What you want is an overwhelming force, like Colin Powell used to say. You go into war, you want an overwhelming force to not destroy everything, but to make people give. And so that's what he should have out there. And then there should be money already on the ground, in different areas where people can do yard signs. So, because that's redundancy. If you can, you got to get back to that, where people have yard signs so other people can see it. I know we got stuff on the internet and we got the television, but everybody not watching none of that stuff, all of it, But if you go out your door and you see the momentum is going toward that person, you're looking for a winner. So everybody is going to vote for that, more than likely vote for that person where they see signs, a bunch of signs in the yard. And we got to get back to that, I believe. So what's your thinking, Christina?
What you just said, I was actually pulling it up because I got an email and it said March 28th. I guess there was a benefit. It's in New York. President Joe Biden and Presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton in conversation with Stephen Colbert and special guests to be announced. So you are speaking all these things into happening. So that's going to be March 28th, an event in New York City. again, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Stephen Colbert, moderate special conversation. Special guests announced include Queen Latifah, Lizzo, Mindy Kaling, Leah Michelle, and Ben Platt. And it's going to be a lively conversation. And yeah, that's one of the benefits they're doing to try to raise money. So yeah, so you are speaking it.
They got to get Taylor Swift on that ticket. But Jerry, you're absolutely. I mean, I'm telling you, man, that girl is a difference maker.
Yeah.
She endorsed him. She endorsed him 4 years ago, and if he gets that endorsement, I'm telling you. But you're right, though, Jerry. The signs and everything, that stuff works.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. But the basics, stick to the basics, man. But now, also last week, the Biden administration, his ticket, received far greater campaign funds, much greater. See, the media ain't driving that home. But if it was the other way, you would know that Donald Trump his finances was bigger than Joe Biden. So, y'all, I'm telling you, man, and I've said this, we're gonna look. I made a bad prediction on the presumptive nominee. He looks like he will be it. But I also said now over a year ago that I was hoping for this guy because I know we can beat him. I know we can beat him.
We done beat him before.
So we can beat him if we show up and vote.
Yeah. No, we can beat him. We done beat him. I know we can beat him.
Stay home and we think that he's already won.
No, we're going to rock the vote. We're going to get him out.
Show up and vote. We're
going to rock the vote. We're going to get out and vote. You know we're going to vote. We're going to vote. We're going to vote. We vote. That's what we do.
Yeah, we got to vote. The only thing what's hurting the ticket a little bit, a little too much as far as I'm concerned, is this war in, what's taking place over in Israel, in Palestine, that people are being starved to death, people are being slaughtered, and that's hurting, especially among younger people. They are not with that, and I can understand why. Neither am I, but these things, this has to stop. It has to stop. You cannot tell 1 million people to go over in a place, and then you go in there and drop bombs, and you turn your weapons up on them. You stop food from getting in. People are starving to death. Children are being just killed like, as if they are animals or something. And even you won't kill an animal like that. If somebody killed a dog like that, people would be in prison right now for killing a dog. As the football player that played for the Eagles, that was the quarterback for the Eagles, asked him, So this has to stop. Go ahead, Bill.
We've been an ally with Israel for so long, and justifiably so. I did agree when Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th that Israel had a right to defend itself. I agree with Joe Biden on that. But some 31,000 innocent women and children later, I think the call now for a ceasefire is a little late. I think Joe Biden may have missed the mark on this one here because Bibi is doing what Bibi is doing now for his political life.
Right.
At this point, it's not about wiping Hamas out. There's nothing to guarantee him that if he killed every Hamas soldier tomorrow, that Hamas is not going to regroup. So his reasoning is not realistic. Biden is now calling for a ceasefire, but I think he's a little late on it. However, it's okay to not double down when you've made a bad decision and reverse course. So now that he is calling for a ceasefire. And the Biden administration has been actively behind the scenes trying to get those hostages out and trying to get an indefinite ceasefire brokered. But Hamas is making such terrible demands. They want that every political, it's just ridiculous. They really are not coming to play. And now all of that pressure has fallen on the Biden administration. So for the young people to be calling for a ceasefire, I get it. I promise you, I get it. But Mahmoud Abbas over there in Palestine, he and Benjamin, man, they've got to come up with something that works for both of them. But to actually now go in and build a port to be able to get rations in for the people. Y'all, some of these people doesn't have shelter, food, clothing, basic needs, man. And here we are 6 months later, just now taking action to do something for those people. I mean, we dropped the ball on this, but to not double down, I guess is what I'm saying, is a good thing to say. Hey, early on we knew that they reserved the right to defend themselves, but all of these women and children had absolutely nothing to do with it, and we must reverse course. Bibi Netanyahu, you have got to cease fire, man.
You know, one of the things that we have to understand why people would attack you like that, and you are occupying force. You control my water. You control my electricity. You control my bank account. You control my life. And then you expect me not to retaliate. You call me a terrorist, but you terrorize me every day. You put thousands of innocent children in prison every day without cause, without a trial. All of these things are taking place, and we've been knowing it for over 70-some years. The Palestinian was there before anybody else came there. They were there. That's
right.
You know, we have to be honest about this.
The West Bank, Gaza Strip, they were there. You're right.
Yeah, they were there. So you can't expect people, you know, you had some like 700,000 people removed from Palestine into Jordan and other places around that area. So we have to. Joe Biden and his administration has to do something to say, no, we need to tamp this down and reverse this thing that Bibi Netanyahu is doing to the people there. And this is why the whole world is against this. But we are still sending arms and bombs, and they are steadily using them on people, the innocent. So we have to put some condition on whatever, finance, whether it's military or whatever, we have to put conditions on that.
Well, now, you know, he sent one of his advisors to the White House on this past week because Biden and Netanyahu had that phone call, and Biden told him, and I guess he didn't quite like the conditions that Biden had put on him, so he sent one of his advisors to the White House on this past week. You're absolutely right, Jared. We've got to be strong. We've got to take a stance, and this has to stop. It really does.
Right.
So I totally agree, and I'm really grateful for what President Biden is doing. He stated that the military will begin establishing a port in the territory that could receive large shipments of critically needed food and medical supplies, temporary pier, what you were talking about, Bill Snow, to enable a massive increase in the amount of humanitarian assistance getting into Gaza daily. Also stated during the State of the Union that Israel must do its part. Israel must allow more aid into Gaza and ensure that humanitarian workers aren't caught in the crossfire. He stated that humanitarian assistance cannot be a secondary consideration or a bargaining chip, which is what Israel's been doing. And protecting and saving innocent lives has to be a priority. The one thing I'm really grateful about President Biden has been that he is the only person I've heard talking about the two-state solution, which has been silent. And so for those young folks who are really upset, I totally get it. I'm upset too. I'm angry too. My heart breaks. What I would say is the other person running doesn't care.
No, matter of fact, he would encourage it. He would encourage you to go on.
Exactly. So we have an opportunity. It may not be the way, we all like, but I guarantee you the alternative is so much worse. So please, please, please organize, get out the vote, have these conversations. These conversations are real. And please remember, when you vote for somebody, it is not a marriage. It is not saying that you totally love them and everything about them or everything about a particular party. That's not what you're saying. It's just saying that this is the person who's going to get you closest to the goal you want to get to. It's not supposed to be a popularity contest. It's not supposed to be about anything else. That's what it's about. What's the goal? Who gets you the closest to that goal? And I guarantee you, if the issue is the what's happening in Gaza, the other guy, it's not going to happen. So a protest vote sitting out is not going to change that. But keeping him in power, can really help see some real solutions to some of these long-term problems. And that's my hope.
Right. And when you think about what's happening over there, you think about the women who have no privacy when they have to go relieve themselves. You think about no hospitals when somebody is wounded and shot up, and children nutrition who are dying every day because they have no food. You think about there's no schools for them to go to anymore. The whole country been blown apart. Hundreds of thousands of bombs been dropped on that country, with more bombs than many all wars that have taken place in a short period of time, in 3 or 4 months. You think about that. You think about pregnant women who are now suffering to have their baby out in the open air, where everybody can see what's going on. You think about that no privacy. Cholera, is going to be affecting those individuals. Not enough doctors, not enough anesthesia, not enough anything, toilet paper, none of that, for people who is an ancient people who've been there for centuries, now are being wiped off of the map. Something is terribly wrong with that picture. Terribly wrong.
Yeah. T.D. Taylor, one of our very faithful Facebook streamers, weighs in with the U.S. has to stop funding Israel. She said hospitals and schools are bombed too. She said it's genocide. She goes on to say that Bibi is a right-wing nut just like Trump. He disrespected Obama. The people don't like him.
See, Cheryl Moran has come in. How you doing, Cheryl? You on mute. You're on mute, Cheryl. You're on mute.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you all?
Hey, Cheryl.
Good to see you all.
Okay. Just want to go back to Lauren Boebert for a minute. She's taking credit. She's taking credit for federal funds that came to Colorado that she voted against. She voted against every bill that came up that was going to benefit Colorado, and now she's running on those bills that she voted against. These people are some of the most wicked demons I ever seen. You vote against something that was beneficial to the people there. And then now you're going to run on it as if you voted for it. You know, you saying you running around talking about you brought those federal funds to Colorado, and you running on it as if everybody in Colorado is stupid. You know, they don't know that you voted against it. All you got to do is pull up your voting record.
Well, with George Santos is talking about rerunning, so hey, stupid is what stupid does, man.
Can I add that she is one of 40 Republicans who obtained earmarks in the federal spending bill designated for money for local projects, and then voted against the bill.
Yeah.
I just want to put that out there for this bill that just happened, the spending bill.
Right. That's what I'm saying. She voted against the bill. Now she running around Colorado talking about, I'm the one that brought this money into Colorado. No, you didn't. Someone was on there today about, no, she ain't brought a damn. Yeah, as a matter of fact, she caused us to lose money. So, and I'm happy that person was astute enough to go on social media and tell everybody what the deal was. But
So Bobart voted against the bipartisan infrastructure law, called it wasteful and garbage, yet requested federal funding for a transportation project afterwards. Quote, rhinos just passed this wasteful $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. Yeah. So, and she does this again and again and again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, she's benefiting from it.
She is that. And she's running, have the nerve to run on it. That's what was so galling to me. And she just, I'm gonna take credit for what I voted against, what I tried to destroy. I'm gonna take credit for. I'm like,
that seems to be a part of the new playbook for that side.
And it is. I believe it is. So
DeSantis came, I want to say last year. He came to Santa Rosa County when he went to the northern part of the county and was talking about how some of the schools in different areas are going to get internet and things like that. That's thanks to the infrastructure bill that he trashed and talked about how it was so wasteful, but had no problem coming to Santa Rosa County and talk about how he was making it happen here in the area. It's absolutely insane.
I'll tell you, totally insane. I want to talk about the Supreme Court. We're going to switch a little bit and talk about the Supreme Court. Do you think that this is the most corrupt Supreme Court in the history of this country? What are y'all thoughts on that? Cheryl, since you just got here, we're going to start with you.
Okay. Well, I don't know how corrupt, but I know it is very tainted. It is very influenced by large corporations. I just watched a program last week tonight with John Oliver. A couple weeks ago, he dived into the Supreme Court and the companies that had to be heard in front of the Supreme Court. The members were actually very friendly, which should have had them recuse themselves from hearing those cases. But they're very tainted at this point, I would say.
Bill?
I think, Clarence Thomas and Jenny should be the poster child for corruption. But I think that's only because he's the only one that has been so outed. I believe that they all, once they get to that level of power, gets their palms greased and they are influenced, and they all do what Clarence Thomas has been doing, trips, these oligarchs, taking care of them, and a lot, in Clarence Thomas's case, left paper trails. I do believe that they are corrupt. I do believe that the guy that has recently appointed 4 of them knows that it's a corrupt system, and the one that's most conservative or liberal is the one that are going to basically formulate and make law a reality. So yes, I agree wholeheartedly. But see, like I said earlier, Brother Jerry, it starts with the street patrolman to me, and it goes all the way up to the Supreme Court. It's corruption there, man. Yes, absolutely.
Now they're hearing Trump immunity trial. Case. So Christina, what do you think will happen with that?
I make zero predictions about the Supreme Court. So what was once decided law is no longer decided law. What was once precedent is no longer precedent. When it comes to the Supreme Court, I have no idea. Our rights, particularly as women, are being stripped away in front of us. The rights that I have right now are less than the rights that I had 20 years ago. So no, there is nothing okay about any of this with Clarence Thomas and the gifts and all of that. I'm really upset about, I remember the confirmation hearings, and when anything about women's rights came up, it was, this is decided law, this can't be changed, this and that. They sure enough changed it. The second they had the majority, they sure enough changed it. So there is no decided law. There is nothing set in stone. So any rights we think we have can easily be stripped away. It can be rewritten. It can be spun another way. I make zero predictions, and I'm pretty disgusted.
There is definitely a simulation of justice when it comes to the Supreme Court. Of course, they will not find him immune. They will not place him above the law on paper anyway. They will not give the President of the United States absolute power. And by granting him immunity gives him absolute power. And they're not about to hand that to Joe Biden while he's in office and is about to win the next 4 years. They're not going to do it. They're a bit smarter than that, Brother Jerry. They're not going to make the president, he will stay, he's not immune. And they will, see, certain things are so obvious that you can't vote wrong on it. They cannot. Man, look here, man. If they give the president absolute power, it's a wrap. It's over.
Well, the thing about it, they are taking absolute power.
That's
the thing about it. That's the danger of it. It's, it's supposed to be 3 equal branches of government. The Congress, the
executive, judicial, and legislative. You're right.
Branch. What has happened? The judicial,
executive,
the executive, not the executive, but the
judicial,
legislative, judicial the legislative branch has allowed itself to be to give their power to the judicial, which leave the executive in limbo. Because decisions that they make can be overturned. And even though Congress may have passed that law, it's just like a lot of the law with the affordable health care that we call Obamacare. It was a lot in that law that was stripped out because of the Supreme Court that most people didn't pay attention to. The Supreme Court was so corrupt that they put Bush II in office. They acted as board of directors. And most people in America don't know all the votes was nullified when the Supreme Court acted as a board of directors when they put George Bush in office over Gore.
Stop the count. Sure did.
Instead of having a recount, instead of either a recount or making sure that people have the right to vote again, and so they can count the votes right, because there wasn't no rush, no mad rush to do that, but they didn't. So they acted as a board of directors, and I don't trust them, especially the 6 that's up there. 3 of them is not taking money from corporations. 3 of them are not involved and engaged in overturning everything of the 20th century. But 6 of them are. That's John Roberts, along with all of the rest of those minions that are there, that are trying to overturn everything that took place in the 20th century. And then you have a woman who is a Republican, who is helping to take away the rights of women, women's reproductive rights, women's health, everything that has been fought for over the years since the suffrage movement is now being reversed because of people like her and these other white guys, along with this token Negro that's on the Supreme Court.
Just call him white guy, man.
Yeah, that's messing it up for everybody. And it's not just women, but it's Black people in general, and I mean Black people in particular.
Jerry, do you think they'll give him immunity? Do you think they'll give him immunity?
I really don't know, but I wouldn't put nothing past them, those 6 people. And no one should have absolute immunity from justice. No president, nobody should have that kind of immunity. Because if they do, then Joe Biden can say, "Oh, I want to be a dictator now." So, I would rather have him as a dictator. I wouldn't want a dictator, period. But if I had to have one, I would rather have him and
Strike that from the record, stenographer. Strike that last statement from the record.
I would rather have him than Trump, that's for sure. And have Kamala Harris next in line.
Yeah.
But yeah. Want to say hello to Jill and Derek. They are off of their other meeting, and we are thankful that they are here today back with us. How y'all doing?
Hey, y'all.
Hey. It's good to be here. It's been a long day. We were on a Zoom since 1:30 taking care of Florida Democratic Party business.
Well, y'all keep on doing what y'all doing, because I think we're on the right track, we Dems.
Yeah. So
I'll just say I'm tired. It's been a very, very long day.
So do y'all got anything to report, or you just Derek?
I don't know. Do we? I'm not sure. So I'm just going to say no for right now. Maybe
for now, if we can share and when we can share, we'll share. But just know that Florida Democratic Party is definitely working. They're working hard, and we're bringing each other back together.
Yes.
Thanks. I know y'all do.
Well, we can't say. I will say we did, because it was in the news. We had some changes party-wise for local counties. It made national news. So today was a conversation around it. So I'm sure it will come out at some point. But yeah, we'll talk about it.
Okay. All right, man. Yeah. I know y'all do some hard work. So I'm glad it's y'all. Y'all know what you're doing. Yeah. So Derek, we was talking about the Supreme Court, and Jill, I'm asking, do you think it's the most corrupt Supreme Court in the history of this country. Maybe we had some in the past that we don't know about, but what is y'all thoughts on the Supreme Court?
Yeah, no, I would, I don't know. I guess in my limited time, I don't know if I can say it's the most corrupt. I will say it's the most blatantly one-sided court that I've ever seen in terms of favoritism, with whom they support and making laws and changing effects to the nation based on the craziness of just one person. And so if that makes it the most corrupt, then yeah, absolutely, with that. But it's sad that you can have people on a court that are clearly bought and paid for and continue to serve in lifelong appointments in their capacity without reproach or retribution. It's unheard of. It's maddening.
Jill, your thoughts?
I think what I would say is I too wouldn't be able to say if it is the most corrupt. I would say it's definitely corrupt. I would also say that if I go back several years, I'm not sure that I myself, so I'll just talk about myself, knew how important it was when you are picking judges and Supreme Court people. When you got in that room, I remember going to vote and being like, who's this judge? I don't know who you are. I don't know who this is. Now we look at it completely differently. We're looking at how did they rule on this? How did they rule on this? How does it impact us locally with the judges that we have? I think it's set up the way the Republicans wanted to be set up. And I think it's a shame that there are issues that are clearly detrimental to everyone that they've decided that, as Derek said, that bought and paid for system just means more than the actual people. So if that makes them corrupt, then, the most corrupt, yes, I think I'm with Derek. I will say yes. I don't know if they're the most corrupt. I just wish there was a way to change it.
I've got a confession to make. I've been voting since the League of Women Voters came to my high school and signed me up at 17. And every year, to me, as a young Black man, I didn't have to know the judges. I've always voted them out. Do you believe that Judge such and such should stay? Hell to the no. I've always voted them out. I didn't need to know because I knew that the system was stacked against me. So for them to ask me if any judge got to keep his seat for all of those years, I voted them out. But I did want to ask Jill and Derek if you guys would be so kind as to grace us with your answer as to whether you guys think that the Supreme Court will give Donald Jerome Trump immunity in the trial that's coming up that they're about to hear.
Don't answer, Derek. Did you make a prediction, Bill Snow, that we need to know about first?
I told the panel and our faithful viewers that I believe that they must show a semblance of justice and that they will not give them immunity. There's just no way that they can give a president absolute power and immunity, especially while Joe Biden is in office. And like Jerry just said, because if they did, he could just then assume and say, hey, I'm a dictator. From now on, there are no more elections. There are no repercussions. So I believe in the semblance of justice, they will not give him absolute immunity. Absolute power.
I think the difference is that Joe Biden and most Democrats wouldn't abuse that power as much as the other side and Mr. Trump would.
We can't. Now we're acting like them guys. If we're against dictatorship, we're against dictatorship. We can't be for dictatorship if it's our guy. So
I'm not suggesting that we stoop to that level. I'm just saying.
I agree.
If they voted that a president cannot, be held liable for his actions or whatever, I don't see Joe Biden going down that path. However, if it were the other side in power, it would be taken to levels that we would never imagine would happen on U.S.
I agree wholeheartedly that Joe Biden is the more decent guy. I agree wholeheartedly.
So, Jill,
So you want us to answer? Cheryl's trying to save us. I appreciate that, Cheryl.
Thank you, Cheryl.
I would say it would set a precedent that would be catastrophic. I don't know whether I trust that they will or they won't, but I just know if they do, it will set a precedent that it just changes the whole trajectory completely. So we have to believe, even though we might not. We just have to believe. I guess I'd have to go with Bill. I'm just going to believe. I need this premonition of yours to be true and happen. I don't need you to backtrack. I need you to make the calls you need to call, whatever you need to do, Bill, to make sure that happens, because it would be.
They won't.
If they did, it would be like, why are we fighting for anything? Because they're just going to sign everything off. It'll be done then.
Right.
I don't mean to sound like an alarmist, but over the past 5 years, I can't even count the thousands of times I've heard the word unprecedented. So I like you said, I don't put anything past any of these people, because they have already shown that they can go way, way, way to the other side with it in a very destructive way. I'm trying to be somewhat.
You're right. They have. When you think that they've reached an all-time low, they've gone lower. You're right.
They go lower.
You're right.
I never would have thought in all my years that I would see the government, which once held like high regard. Like we had a lot of respect for government officials and people in those positions of power. And now we see them acting like kids in a schoolyard in 3rd grade. And it's disappointing. And but it seems to be the new normal.
I just want to say, we keep every show, we seem like we have benchmark first, and that need to go, and we can't just skip past. And today, I think there's a benchmark first that it's usually me that's on the like rosy sunny. Oh well, maybe, and Jill's like, come on, Derek, be for real, be so for real. And now today on the 24th, Jill has been like, well, I think I'm going to believe. And Derek is about to be like, be so for real. And to answer your question, I would hope, I think that the Supreme Court has done, and everybody around them has done everything that they could or have tried to do to keep from making the decision, right? So it's punting here, or let the lower courts do that. And it keeps being punted back to them. And we just talked about them being bought and paid for. So I think the people who hold the purse strings are like, all right, I've taken you on a boat ride, Clarence Thomas. I paid for your mama house, Clarence Thomas. It's time for you to make good on all this money that I'm rolling out. And so they're like, dang, all right, so I guess we got to do what we got to do. And I feel like it's coming to a point where they're going to go ahead and do the unthinkable. Would I like to hold out hope and believe, like Bill and Jill, that they're going to do the right thing? I absolutely would. But I see some situations where clearly the right thing to do has not been done. And so, we thought and we hoped, we held out belief that the Supreme Court was going to hold Roe v. Wade. But they didn't. In an unprecedented move, they didn't. We hoped and believed that they were going to uphold the voting rights. But yet again, in an unprecedented move, they did not. So we have all of these hopes and believes that are followed by these unprecedented, Cheryl's point, these unprecedented moves that say, what? And so now I'm not sure why we would think that if your best indicator of future performance is past behavior, why we think we're going to hope and believe and they're going to do the right thing, and we won't have yet another unprecedented turn of events. You know, I don't know. I don't see it quite. I'll believe like you got.
They also help to overturn affirmative action. Affirmative action been so good at that it's almost useless, and nobody want to take DEI to the Supreme Court while it's in while the people that are there now, because they tried to save affirmative action by taking it to the Supreme Court, and John Roberts ripped that apart. When the Eric Holder took
an unprecedented move. Right.
Yeah. When Eric Holder took the voting rights to the Supreme Court, they overturned, they stripped that out. They destroyed that. So, like you say, I mean, I have no faith whatsoever in them, none. I believe they will do anything, and that's just my opinion. My mom used to say that, there are people that you can't even trust behind a broom straw. So that's very small. So you can see them over the broom straw. She said she wouldn't trust them behind a broom straw. So that's the way I feel about those 6 people on the Supreme Court. Now there are 3 others that are doing what they're supposed to do. They are fighting for the rights of people. They are fighting to uphold justice in this country. They are fighting to make sure that Donald Trump don't get total immunity. Even he's saying, this was argued in the court, that he said that if he sent Team SEAL 6 off somebody, he ought to have total immunity.
An opponent.
An opponent, yeah.
An opponent.
If he jailed his opponent or kill him, he ought to have total immunity.
That's correct.
He wants immunity after he have left the White House, and if he don't get it, it's going to be a bloodbath. This is what he's saying. These are his words, not mine. So
T.D. Taylor says they will give him immunity. T.D. Taylor on our Facebook stream says they will give him immunity. She says they had more integrity for the most part under Mitch McConnell until Mitch McConnell stopped Obama from appointing a judge. Since Trump, they are running rogue. T.D. Taylor on our live Facebook stream this evening. They're running rogue. Then they are. Supreme Court, all of them. Yeah, but they will not give this clown immunity. They will not give him immunity.
They held up 2 judges under President Obama.
They did. Yes, they did.
So that's why we got these people that did this corruption at the highest level. And these are people appointed for life. And I believe that Joe Biden has the right to appoint some more people to the Supreme Court, because there were, I think, up to 11 or 12 before, or maybe even higher. If somebody can look that up. But I think that he has the right to appoint some more people to the Supreme Court to offset this, what is taking place now. At least. Go ahead, Jill. Let Jill.
I don't have an now, Cheryl. If you have an answer, I have a question. Okay. So Cheryl, go ahead and answer if you have an answer.
I just had a question also. Wouldn't that wouldn't that set a precedent to we add 5 more people, and then the administration changes, they say, oh, we want to add 4 more people, and this can go back and forth for
And I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. But by the same token, if I'm in power right now, I want to have some power, and that power means that even if somebody else came and did the same thing, I want that power now so that it will reflect this nation. Right now, this is reflecting on a few billionaires and millionaires, the courts. That's who have bought the courts off. all over the country, and Trump appointed over 200 and some of them, plus, was it 3 people on the Supreme Court? So now we got people on the circuit court, the appellate court, and local courts everywhere that Trump, Trump's minions, really. Go ahead, Christine.
So I just had an answer to the question. The maximum number of Supreme Court justices to serve at one time together was 10. The number of Supreme Court justices has ranged between 5 and 10, but since 1869, the number has been set at 9. But you can add more, it just has to be at an odd number. But what Cheryl said is correct. The next administration can add more too. But in history, since 1869, it's always been 9.
We're not in a good place right now. Everything is being overturned. The whole 20th century is being overturned by these people that are on the Supreme Court. They are corrupt to the core. And we have to do something to change the trajectory of the Supreme Court. And it should be a limit of time how much time they can spend on the Supreme Court. It used to be people that went on the Supreme Court was already in their late 50s or early 60s. But these are people that have been, adjudicating cases over the years. But now these people are in their 30s and 40s that's being put on the Supreme Court. And that means they're going to be there for another 40 years if they live. That's the danger of where we're at now. And these same people will be overturning stuff for many years to come until they drop dead or something else happened to them. But this is why I feel that, if Joe Biden is reelected, he should put somebody on the court to help offset. He can put
when Joe Biden is reelected.
Yeah, when he's elected, right. When he's elected, he needs to put some more people on the Supreme Court. The hell with what everybody say. Do it and then apologize later. That's the way I feel. What's your thought on it, Bill?
I agree wholeheartedly, brother. You've got to get it done while you're there. As Cheryl said, then the next administration would put another 2, whatever. But yeah, you got to let the record show or history show that while you were there, you got XYZ passed. Absolutely, I agree wholeheartedly. But where does it stop? I mean, round and around we go. But if for all intents and purposes, if Joe Biden wins and the court gives him absolute immunity, so it might just be Joe Biden from here on out. So they would not rule in that way. I promise you. But we shall see.
We're gonna switch over a little bit. We're talking about the train coming for Bonnie Willis. What did they mean by that, Derek? Can you give me, what did they mean? What do you think they meant?
Ms. Bonnie was a little bit bothered by and rightfully so, by that attack on her. So she's like, oh, okay, I got something for you. Just so you know, I'm coming for that behind. So that's what it essentially meant, when we're looking at it. And I mean, when you think about it, the fact, these people had the unmitigated gall, the audacity, some might say the caucasity, to sit up there and put her on trial as the prosecutor, as if she's done something wrong by prosecuting their offenses. So she's like, oh, that's what we're doing? Okay, got it. Just so we know, okay, I was going to play nice with you, but I now have no reason to play nice with you. So best of luck to you. that's how I took from that stand.
Jill, what's your thought?
I think for her, everything's on the line. She just had to go through all that, even though she went through it. We're not even going to talk to you, Bill, and you know how you said she did it, but she went through it phenomenally. And I think that this just gives her, so you know how you all didn't know why the gentleman was still laid back, and then she comes in and she does what she does. She probably, I know we said he did most of the work. One of two things are going to happen. He's still going to do the work with her, and they're going to perfect it so well that they won't know what hit them.
Right.
Or she was doing some of the work and he was getting the credit, or they were working together, and now she is ready. I think that if you remember the stuff that they said, like she exposed a whole lot about her life to prove the point that she should have never had to happen. And going forward as a prosecutor, I can just see those other people going, oh, well, you did this. Oh, well, you told us this. Oh, well, she's going to be second guessed. So she has to bring all that back. And the way to do that is at this next trial. I mean, she's going to do her thing. And she's going to get all that respect back and then some. Not that she lost any respect, but she's got to. I talked to a lawyer friend of mine, and he was like, that's something you never want to have to do. You never want to expose your innermost details like that, because those that need you to prosecute them and those that you are up against as prosecutor will use it to your detriment. So she's coming to take all that back.
Shira, what is your thoughts?
I'm disappointed that during the time of the trial, we spent more time talking about her personal business than the trial she was prosecuting. And it just showed me that that side is so crafty on shifting the narrative and the focus, and it made it all about the prosecutor instead of these crimes that were committed that she's prosecuting. Like, why do I have to know who she's sleeping with and where she vacations? Right. Like, I want to get to the details of this trial that she's prosecuting. And it's just a shame that a lot of people fell victim to the to the drama of it all and lost focus on what her job actually was and what she was doing in her job.
Christina.
So just a little bit of background on it. Fannie Willis's remarks came after a court challenge centering on a romantic relationship she had with the special prosecutor whom she appointed to the case, Nathan Wade. After the relationship was exposed, Wade stepped down from prosecution to diffuse any appearance of a potential conflict of interest so Willis could stay on the case. She said, quote, "I don't feel like we have been slowed down at all by Trump's efforts to use the relationship with Wade to disqualify her from prosecuting him," Willis told CNN at a Georgia Easter egg hunt. She said, quote, "I think there are efforts to slow down the train, but the train is coming." So I love her. I think she is just amazing. My heart goes out to her that she's had to go through this. She shouldn't have had to go through this. And I think there should be more outrage for what she has had to go through. And that anybody should have had to go through that through your job. But I think she's awesome, and I can't wait. And what I actually love about this right now is Biden's thing is I'm on board. So I'm just saying I'm on board. The train is coming. It's all together.
Christina, not that you didn't get her words correctly, but I have the video just so that we can hear, because I feel like hearing it directly from the prosecutor will give us the best way of getting it. Hold on.
Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis spent her Saturday at an Easter egg hunt. The event was put together by WAVE, an organization of law enforcement officers dedicated to helping children and the homeless throughout the year. Willis was surprisingly candid, Fred, regarding questions about the last few months of her life, including her Georgia election interfering case against Donald Trump and the scandal brought about by her prior romantic relationship with special prosecutor she appointed for the case. We wanted to know if she feels like she needs to reclaim her reputation, and this was her reply.
I don't feel like my reputation needs to be reclaimed. Let's say it for the record. I'm not embarrassed by anything I've done. You know, I guess my greatest crime is I had a relationship with a man, but that's not something that I find embarrassing in any way. And I know that I have not done anything that's illegal.
The racketeering case was delayed by 2 months. So let's remember, following the revelations about her personal life, her decision-making credibility was also damaged in the eyes of Judge Scott McAfee. But the embattled Fulton County District Attorney said the main case was not delayed because her team never stopped working on it. Let's take a listen.
No, my team's been continuing to work, and I think the media and especially organizations like your own have been paying attention. All while that was going on, we were writing responsive briefs. We were still doing the case in the way that it needed to be done. I don't feel like we've been slowed down at all. I do think that there are efforts to slow down this train, but the train is coming.
The train is coming. That's what I'm talking about. The train is coming. Our time is just about over. I got to go to Christina, who is running for delegate for the president.
Hi, thank you so much. So I just want to let everybody know that I am running for delegate election to the National Democratic Convention, the election of delegates for Congressional District 1. So if Matt Gaetz, unfortunately, is your congressman, you can vote for me to go to the Democratic National Convention if you're a Democrat. The election is going to be April 20th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You do have to vote in person, and you can vote it either in Niceville City Hall at 208 North Parton Drive, or you can vote at Bethel AME Fellowship Hall, which is at 511 Woodlawn Drive in Pensacola. And I definitely appreciate all the support.
We would vote for you, but can you tell them why they should vote for you? Like, we're of course voting for you, but for those that might not know you in almost 4 counties, tell them why they should vote for you.
So yes, so many of you have seen me here on Our Voices. I'm the current president of the Santa Rosa Democratic Black Caucus. I'm also the founding president of the Santa Rosa Democratic Black Caucus. I'm the first vice president for the state of Florida for the Democratic Black Caucus as well. And I'm the current president of the Women's Club in Santa Rosa County. And I have fought long and hard. I love our community. I love what we stand for. I love who we are. I'm a voting rights activist, and I really need your vote. I'm asking for your vote today. If you could come out again on April 20th between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., either in Niceville or in Pensacola, and vote for me to send me to the Democratic National Convention, I'd really appreciate it. I've been a longtime fighter. You've heard me on this show. I'm definitely a Biden supporter. I'm on board all the way. So if I'm the person that you want to see representing you out at the Democratic National Convention, which gets to actually vote on party platform ideas, I need to be able to be sent there. I need your vote to do that. It's not something run through the elections office. It's something run locally by Democrats. So if you're a registered Democrat, please show up, and I need your vote. Thank you.
And she's a veteran.
And I'm a veteran. And but my biggest title is mom. And I love my boys, and I want all of my boys to come home. And so, yeah, that's why I'm a fighter.
All right. Just wanted to remind everybody, don't forget about Move for Change Banquet, which is June 21st at the Improv in Pensacola on Pace. I think that's 70, is it 703 or 707? Pensacola on Pace Boulevard. That Doug Baldwin's place there, the Improv. 705. 705 Pace.
Or 375, excuse me, 375.
375. Well, let's get this straight.
North Place.
Back to the wrong place. 375 Pace Boulevard. June 21st, and we open. It starts at 6 o'clock. We will have social hour at 6, and the banquet started at 7. We have Kyla Janae Lacey, who will be our keynote speaker, who is also a poet, who is also my niece. So hope to see y'all there, everybody that's watching. Our time is up. It's 9 o'clock. Derek, I'm gonna throw it back to you.
Well, on behalf of all of the hosts, sorry I'm coming in late, but I'll close this out. On behalf of all of the hosts, we thank you for tuning in to another episode of Our Voices. We hope that you have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. Have a great and productive week, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
All right, we're off. Good night, all. Sorry we were late. It was a long one. So.
It was a very long day. It's been a long day.
Yes. Unnecessary.
Good night.
Good
Cheryl,
night.
it's always great to see you.
You too. Miss you guys.
All right. Miss you too, bro.